back on Highway 16. I thought we'd make it all the way to beach, but I forgot just how long this trip really is. I mean, when you travel on a gravel road, you go slower than you do on pavement. So I thought I'd start in the Badlands just because it's scenic. But we're going to see some new territory. I'm even going to get out of the car a little bit and ask for directions. So that'll be fun. And I omitted here my little thingy with the dash cam because that was awkward. So in my just finished my second day of school. I recording at this time at, I'm looking at the clock here, 8 o'clock instead of 10:30 like I did last night because I'm just not functional late at night, and I don't know why I was recording that late, but I was. So, and of course you're probably watching this like a month or two later or years later because who knows, it's YouTube. But anyway, headed out on Highway 16 still. I'm going to be on Highway 16 for one more video yet. I guess my grand tour of Golva and beach is just going to have to wait till till next video. I was just surprised by how much time it all took. But anyway, one of the things I've been thinking about since school started is what it really takes to be a successful person. And I'm seeing everybody successful and not successful at the beginning of their life. I see when I teach high school, I see potential, but I don't see a finished product. Teenagers, sometimes they think they're the finished product and they've arrived, but they'll figure out that they haven't. And anyway, I also have been teaching long enough that I have students who've gone on into their life and are adults with families of their own in some cases. So I'll just tell you what I have seen. It's not necessarily the kids who get A's in their classes that go on to be successful ones. It's not always the kids who fail who go on to be the failures. It's not always your C students who go on to be average. If you get an A in my physics class, that really just tells you did well at my physics class. Well, actually, it tells you did well at what I measure in my physics class. That doesn't carry over into a lot of other things. Now, sometimes that can be indicative, but I'll tell you, sometimes grades aren't the right priority. At least they were parked so you could get past. I hate it when you come up on a gravel road. Two people are just parked in the middle of the road and talking. You're like, hello, want to get around here? And you can't. So anyway, but back to the topic. What really separates people is attitude. And let me tell you a little bit about the attitude. And some of you may be parents or maybe parents someday. And I'm not a parent, so I've had a couple parents blow up at me for telling them this. But you know what? Sometimes you just gotta let your kid fail. Let them go, BAM! Straight on their face. If they can do that in a safe, supportive environment where they have parents and people around them that care about them and will, after that horror of, oh boy, I just failed big time, help them and teach them the skills to pick themselves up and, okay, what can we do differently now? That makes all the difference because that teaches them valuable coping skills. Because if you ever failed, if you're an adult, I'm just going to assume you failed. I know I have, and teaching, it's, what kind of risk is there in teaching? Oh yeah, every time I teach a new lesson. Try teaching a lesson that's a failure to a classroom full of teenagers. That's no fun. So, have you ever failed financially? Here's a mistake I made once. You ever take a job, get all kinds of warning bills, make a big move, sell a house, take a huge financial hit, thinking, wow, my life is going to improve, and you find out it is one of the worst mistakes you ever made in your life? That's me. My savings were hammered by that mistake, and my resume was hammered by that mistake. I won't do that again. I've always been I only took one job since then because, like I said, that was a big mistake. And, where I work now took a big gamble on hiring me because, wow, I shouldn't have made that choice. But anyway, we learn from our mistakes. One of the lessons I learned is to take a more objective look at where I'm actually at. Is it really that bad? And if I were to switch jobs, I'll guarantee you I'm going to be a lot smarter about it. And it's not going to be for minor reasons. I'm going to have real reasons. Like I'm going to take a definite benefit to my life in some way. So, so when you make these mistakes, they teach you. Now, we want to teach our kids to make mistakes because, a kid isn't going to take a big financial hit, isn't going to destroy their career prospects the way I did. A kid it's much smaller scale, and that's when you want to teach them. Start when they're little. Little people are going to have little problems. They're going to have little falls on their face. They're not going to go splat the way I did. And you teach them that resilience, the ability to bounce back, and the ability to say, oh, what can I do differently? And they learn those skills with those small things so that later on when they make those big mistakes, because like I said, they're going to. I've done it. I'm sure you've done it. When they make those big mistakes, they have the emotional coping skills. Because I'll tell you what I can't stand is when I get a kid in my class that says, well, I can't do science. You know what? You're right, kid. You can't do science because you've already told yourself you're a failure. Has nothing to do with me. It's all in you. So if you're a parent or, not a parent, don't be afraid to let them fall flat on their face. If you're a student in school, try new things. What's the worst that can happen? You fail. Well, pick yourself up and do better next time. Ever get a bad grade in a class? I have. You ever start a master's degree and have one thing not done, and that's why you don't have a master's degree? That's me. Fail. You can bounce back. And I don't like it when parents criticize this failure in the wrong way. Some parents are very defensive of their kid, and they helicopter in, and it's just like, what are you doing for giving my kid a bad grade? Why is my kid struggling in your class? My kid shouldn't be struggling. I protect my child from all things hard. Well, okay, that's obviously bad. But then you get these parents that will just attack their kid for not being perfect. And you know what? Part of not being perfect is learning. We learn how to do things better because we fail. Or we do poorly and we find out, oh yeah, wow, I could have done this, I could have done this, could have done this. You learn those skills to evaluate yourselves because failure doesn't have to be as dramatic as failing to get a master's degree because you get lazy with your thesis. That's me. Failing doesn't just mean failing I'm going to stop the car here. And no, I'm not. I'm going to keep driving. Somewhere else I'm stopping the car. I told you we were going to get out of the car here, but I think we just crossed from Slope County into Golden Valley County. Anyway, so don't be afraid to let your kid fail. Don't be afraid for yourself to take some risks. Now, as an adult, you may have more responsibilities. If you do have kids depending on you, sometimes you have to say, well, I'm going to keep this job I hate until I can find a better job because I can't just pick up and leave like I could when I was single because I have little people depending on me. Yeah, you do have to be realistic, but that doesn't mean stay in that job. Start looking. Maybe you hate your town. Start looking. Take some risks. But again, if there's other people, you do have to think about that a little bit. But again, you want to build up that resilience. Sports are one of the areas where it's very visible. I've always thought when I watch a wrestling match, and wrestling, I told you in another video, is not my sport at all. It is not as boring as football, but it's pretty close. And maybe it's because I don't understand it. But my thing with wrestling, if you're on a basketball team or a football team or a volleyball team, you can kind of hide behind your teammates. You'd be like, Well, we could have done better. I have no idea. I must have taken a picture of something there. But I cut it out because it was just a car idling. But you can say, well, I could have done well, but I passed the ball to Billy Bob and he dropped it, and my teammates ain't no good, and the coach is terrible. You could hide behind them. Wrestling, they're out there on their own. You fail, you get pinned. That's on you. you failed. You can't blame your teammates, and they turn right around and they wrestle again. That teaches resilience. I think it's really sad that our culture still encourages resilience in that area, but not in other areas. Like, oh, sweetie, math is just too tough for you. No, just that means you have to work harder. I'll tell you what, I may have a degree in physics, but math and science don't come easily to me. What comes easily to me is grammar and English and writing. But you know what? I'd be an awful English teacher. I have no interest in it. I write science fiction for fun, but reading all those Shakespeare things and poetry, I hate poetry. So not for me. So I had to work extra hard at this math and science thing, but I actually really enjoy it. That resilience. Because I'll tell you what, my grades were not as good as they could have been if I'd gone into something else. But I'm in a job I really enjoy now, so it paid off. Falling flat on myself and face and being embarrassed because I'm not as good as I'd like to be. And I think it makes me a little more sympathetic to my students. Will I ever be a PhD in physics? Nope. I think the potential is there if I really, really worked at it and focused at it, but it's not really my interest either because that's not what I want to do. I like teaching high school, so I'd prefer not to teach college, and I don't like the lifestyle, so there we go. Sticking with high school. And that's okay. I'm still more at the beginnings, and like I said, I'm looking at potential. I just hate it when you see a kid go off to college. They could make it, but oh gosh, mommy and daddy aren't here. Oh, I'm kind of on my own. I have to figure things out, and oh, it's too hard. I need to come back home. Oh God, I hate that. Uh, it's easier to deal with a kid who just can't get good grades because they don't have the academic skills. Most of them, I hate to say this, don't tell any of my students this, but I kind of saw it coming when you were in high school. A couple of them are surprises. They go off to college and they party, and you're like, wait, where was this in high school? But there we go, falling flat on our face, learning a lesson. Oh, alcohol is bad. I need to learn how to control that. And I could get into a whole thing about drinking age, but I won't. I have to be a little bit careful. But that resilience. I teach math sometimes. I teach more science. But what I find really hard to deal with is the student who, as soon as they get to a problem they can't do, they shut down. I can't do it. It's too hard. Well, what did you try? I didn't even know what to do. It was too hard. No, 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 no. Try it. If one thing doesn't work, try something else. Any of you who have taken math and science or gotten degrees in math and science know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you can fill up pages trying different things. In fact, I know a lot of math teachers hate this. I always liked my students to work in ink, and most math teachers are work in pencil. Well, here's why I like ink. Because I need a record of what I've tried and failed at. Because then, I guess I won't try it again. I'll try something else. That's why I always liked ink. So I was the math student when I could get away with it who did his homework with a fountain pen. Hey, it's a fountain pen channel, and I practice what I preach. I liked it. I still like it. If I have assigned homework to my students, guess who's already done that homework? Now, I will admit, I do some computerized homework. I do occasionally run into trouble there because I've got the problem solved, did it right, and then I get into trouble with the coding on the computer. So I've occasionally had issues with that. Getting better. I usually try them on the computer, but Every so often they slip by me because that whole programming thing is. I took programming in college, but it's very different. Anyway, just who cares? That's a whole bunch of meaningless detail. I'm just blibbering. But I don't. Oh yeah, sometimes you just have to fill up a couple pages. Now, when I was teaching Algebra 1, I mean, that homework was not hard for me. Once in a while, I'd run across a problem, I'd be like, huh, and I'd have to think about it. But for the most part, Algebra 1, I mean, I've taught dual credit calculus before. It's not that hard. But I have to remember I'm dealing with 14-year-old kids when I teach that, 13 and 14. What is really easy to and obvious to me isn't to them. So yeah, kind of have to put yourself in their mindset. But you don't put challenges in front of them that they're not able to face, because that's a good way to teach people, hey, you're a failure. And you see that mistake. Sometimes you see parents getting upset. Why can't you make this basket? To some poor little kid who's not even tall enough to make the basket and not even coordinated. You have to realize where your kid is at. And yeah, sometimes we're forced into challenges harder than we can take. I always feel bad. Well, who doesn't feel bad for this? When a kid's parent dies, that's a horrible thing to deal with. And I've had students like that many times over the years. What kid is ready for that? I'm 40 years old and I don't know if I'm ready for it. That's a huge challenge. But, the adults in their lives should be working toward making sure they give them the challenges they can handle. So if you're a teacher, if you're just making everything really hard just to prove what a tough teacher you are, you're wrong. But at the same time, is it for the benefit of the kid? Are we challenging them? Are we pushing them? And yeah, we want to push them because we don't want them, first time they struggle, teacher, need help. We want them to actually, okay, that didn't work. What could I do differently? Okay, that didn't work. What could I do differently? Try a few things. Go over your stuff. Look for a mistake. Look for maybe I just missed something. A lot of times when I end up helping for homework, it's more of, oh, you see right here where you miscopied the number? Yeah, that's why it's wrong. And if you're a programmer, you know what I mean. I write all my handouts and stuff with LaTeX. And, you forget a semicolon somewhere or a dollar sign in a math formula, and all of a sudden, boop, and the whole thing crashes, and you're just like, what? And then you spend hours looking for some stupid dollar sign in a formula somewhere buried in the middle of your test. Yeah, you programmers know what I mean. And I don't do this for a living. I don't even have to use these programs. I have my reasons, but that's another story. So anyways, challenges should be age appropriate. That's not what I'm saying, but the grit, the stick-to-itiveness. And I just wish we would emphasize it more in the classroom. And a parent who's willing to let their kid be challenged on the court, all of a sudden in the classroom is just like, well, you're making them work too hard. And I have to respect my high school where I'm teaching their football team. Year or two ago, we came off of a 3-year losing streak. And when I say losing, I don't mean like we lose by 6 points or 1 touchdown or something. I mean like 80-0 and we lose. I was worried in a couple of games that we might not have enough digits on the opposing team's part of the scoreboard just to record how high their score was. And that can beat kids down. And that's where the adults need to come in. Instead of constantly criticizing the kid, or you get some parents who just scream at the coach and had a steady changeover of coaches. Well, hello, may not be the coaches that are the problem here. We've actually had one who's stuck around for a few years now and is turning the program around slowly, but he's getting there. And but at least these parents just screaming at the coach or screaming at the kids or saying nasty things about the kid, or occasionally a coach says something nasty about the kids. Well, you know what? That's not the adult's role. You're not teaching the kid resilience then. You're teaching the kid how to make excuses. Oh, my football team's a failure because my coach is bad. Daddy says so, loudly from the sidelines constantly. Or, well, the team's just bad. Or you internalize this, well, why bother trying? We're just going to lose anyway. And parents aren't helping. Sometimes the coach isn't helping. You need somebody who's going to encourage. You also need that realism. Like, I'll be honest. My goal with the football team, and I don't coach football, has been we don't get embarrassed. When you see a scoreboard with an 80-0, that's embarrassing. So my goal, like I say, is more we don't embarrass ourselves. We put up a respectable fight. It'd be nice to win, but small steps. Learn how to play football. Learn how to keep going. As soon as you get things start going badly in the game, you all give up. No. As soon as things start going badly in the game, we start working harder. And instead of saying, well, it's your fault and it's your fault, what can you do to make it better? Can you help them? Can you help yourself? Maybe instead of hacking down your quarterback because he dropped a pass, maybe encourage him because of the good things he's doing. And maybe he just needs to work on passes. Well, what good are you doing by criticizing? And especially criticizing him behind his back. And criticizing the coach behind their back. Why? If you have a real problem, go talk to him. But no, we're going down to the bar and we'll badmouth them behind their back. Well, the high school kids don't do that, but the adults do. We'll go down to the bar and we'll badmouth them behind their back. We'll say all kinds of untrue things, whether we know what we're talking about or not, just because that's how we feel. And you're passing on a bad message to your kids. So you may guess there is some context behind this that's making me bring this up, and I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I will tell you, we're coming up on an interesting road sign, and I'm going to get out of the car to go look at the road sign. So, change of topic, and I'm going to ask for directions here. So, change of topic and stoppage of the car somewhere here. And you can tell somebody just drove by. Second car I've met. Don't know exactly where I stop here. Oh, here I am, pulling up at the yield sign. Because I'm actually going to go around this bend here and up ahead, so I'm going to stop the video temporarily. I just think this sign is hilarious. Yeah, if I'm driving along and just glance at this, I can't read it. Anyway, I'm headed north. I think I was getting some offers of directions there, but I don't speak their language, so... Alright, I'm back. So the cows couldn't help me, but I knew where I was going, so I went straight ahead here. And not too much longer, I'm trying to read the clock here, about 7 minutes or so, maybe 10 minutes, we'll get to the pavement and I'll change topic, or actually I'll stop the video. I've got things to do yet tonight, so I'm drinking more water because as you can tell, teaching is rough on my voice. It's the main reason I'm drinking water is to keep my throat hydrated. Anyway, I'm going to get more specific to me now because if I keep going in that vein, I'll probably say something I regret about why I brought this topic up. So instead, I'm going to wander into a different topic, related though, since I guess this is about resilience. I want to tell you a little bit about me. When I started this channel years ago, you can still find a lot of the videos, not the ones where I was using copyrighted music before I knew better, but you can still find some of my early videos. In fact, there is a video about this drive. It just has a lot less in it because I didn't have a dash cam or an iPad then. But anyway, I was terrible. I was boring. I didn't have a whole lot of subscribers. I did have a tour of an old school that got a lot of views. I even well, it was over 100,000 views, but as I said, it had copyrighted music in it, which is why you can't see it. Who knows, I may go back and see if I can get the sound out of it and just narrate it without all that sound, but I don't know. Seems like it's not really worth it anymore. But anyway, so I toured this old school, and that was fun. But my early videos were bad, and I'd only upload every once in a while. And they dragged on, kind of like this driving video has been dragging on. But I eventually got into reviewing fountain pens. I discovered Stephen Brown. I discovered Matt Armstrong, and they had quite thorough and good reviews. And I got the idea, hey, I could try that. And I had a few fountain pens by then, so I filmed a few reviews. I had, the Nib Creeper at that time. I had, I don't remember what my other one was I filmed, but I had a couple. I used to own a cross pen that I no longer own, which I've given away. It was, but my reviews then were they were terrible. There's no other way to put it. They were just awful. And I watched them and I just thought, oh my gosh, I can't put this out there because it's awful. I'm embarrassed by this. So I didn't. And you know what? I went another year without filming. And then Stephen Brown had a video where he says, why aren't you doing reviews? And I thought, well, why not? I tried it before. And I started to film one, and I was just like, nope, you really are terrible. And then I watched, I won a contest, actually. And I was awarded a prototype Noodler's Nippon set before they were officially released. And I thought, people are really going to want to see this pen. So I filmed my very first pen review. It's still on the channel, Noodler's Nippon set. I may have to revisit it. I used my iPad to film everything, to film the writing sample. I held the iPad in one hand while I wrote with the other. And it was terrible. It's everything you could think of to do wrong. But you know what? It's still there. And from that and from others that I uploaded, I learned. Now, am I as slick and polished as Matt Armstrong? Oh, no. Am I as easy to listen to as Stephen Brown? Oh, no. Do I have the nice personable way of relating people the way that Pens and Tea does? I'm sorry, I forgot her name, but Pens and Tea. Oh no, I'm not that personable. I don't have the polished way of reviewing pens the way the Pen and Inkwell does. I have my own style, mainly to keep pen reviews at about 5 minutes unless they're vintage or special. By the way, just crossed onto Pavement, but we're going to go past the Pavement just a little bit, because I'm not done with this. So what I figured out from all this is, hey, you know what? Yeah, you're not that great, but find your niche. And just because you're not that great doesn't mean you can't improve. And if you don't believe me that I've improved, compare my pen videos now to my pen videos when I started doing this what was it? Has it been 2 years now? Back when I did the Nippon set anyway. I have improved and I've learned. Instead of saying, oh, I'm not even going to try because I'm scared to fail, I had enough resilience to fail badly, and come back from it and try again. And that's what I ask. I would love to be that awesome teacher that always teaches amazing lessons the kids all love, the kids all respect, they all learn from. But you know what? I have horrible days where I just can't teach. I make mistakes with kids, and, I could say, I'm just a lousy teacher, I might as well give up. Or I could learn from it and pick myself back up and go back to school. Sometimes you get that idea in your head that, I'm just such a screw up at teaching, I should quit this job and go somewhere else and just start fresh. Or go back to work the next year and face it, and deal with it. And you do improve year after year, and it's not just teaching, it's everything. And that's what I'd encourage you to do, is just steady, incremental improvement. And never give up. So we're coming up on the city of Golva. I will pick up somewhere about this neighborhood with the next video. I have no idea what the topic is, but we are going to go from Golva to beach, even though it's not that interesting. And we're going to tour both Golva and Beach. So I hope that was somewhat interesting. And I hope if you take nothing away from this, I hope you take away the keep trying. And if you have kids, let them fail. So thank you for watching. We'll see you later.